Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unibuddy's first LinkedIn Live event. I'm so excited for the folks who have joined us today. My name is Paige, and I am one of the customer success managers here at Unibuddy who takes care of our North American partners. And I'm really happy to be joined today by Simon from Study in the USA. So, Simon, I'm going to throw the mic over to you. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us what you do at Study in the USA?
Absolutely, absolutely. Nice to see everyone virtually and in my mind because I can't really, see you live. But thanks for being here. My name is Simon. I am the Senior Account Executive at Study in the USA, and I've been with Study in the USA for a little over 6 years.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining us today. And so the intention of today's live session is just to chat a little bit about the Unibuddy World Conference that's coming up October 20th. We are super excited to kind of be sharing the full scope of Unibuddy with the whole world. It's like very big time stuff for sure. And the reason why you're here with us today is that you are going to be one of our fantastic presenters. And so we're kind of curious if you can give us a little sneak preview of the presentation that you're going to do for the conference and give us the inside scoop a little bit on what you're going to be chatting about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we talk a lot about in our company, and something that comes up a lot for our school is just that there really is no one way that students ultimately find and ultimately apply and enroll to a school. So it's a really kind of convoluted journey. There's a lot of different ways that students can go about, getting information and hearing about a school. So we're really excited to dig into that a little more deeply and, just help educate and help remind schools of just how many different ways that students hear about you and how important it is to really to get information to students in a lot of different ways. Because, as we all know, it's not like a student just finds a school and then immediately clicks on apply and they're there. There's all kinds
Yeah.
of steps that happen in between. So.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. And in terms of study in the USA, can you give us like a little overview of what you all do, like as a company, like what type of outreach you do, who your main target audience is, and things like that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So Study in the USA, we've been around for a little over 40 years. So we actually, our journey started with magazines. We kind of predated internet stuff. Magazines is one of the channels we use to reach students. We also, in 1995, launched our website, studyusa.com. So that's a big spot for schools to have their profiles listed, and it translates into 13 different languages. So lots of ways for students to connect that way. Social media obviously has become huge for us. We've got a really active platform with 600,000 plus unique visitors, or actually likes and followers spread out between all our different social media platforms. And one of the exciting parts about, as difficult as these times have been, one of the exciting things is that we've been able to add a lot of really cool new features and opportunities for our schools. So we've been very active with Facebook Live and Instagram Live type of series. We've done webinars. Our partnership with you guys, with Unibuddy, is new during this time. So lots of really fun new things that are really benefiting our schools.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I was so excited to get on and do this with you today, because we do have this great new partnership where we're really kind of allowing peer-to-peer communication to come to the forefront of both of our kind of journeys in terms of higher education. And one thing that we
Yeah.
always talk about here at Unibuddy is how important that peer-to-peer moment is for a student who's making that type of decision to come study abroad or to choose to leave their, either home country or even home state from a United States perspective as well. It's a great chance for us to partner with you and kind of allow that to come to the forefront. This question that I have for you kind of, like, I suppose, bounces really well off of what you were just talking about, and kind of the way that the student journey has changed so much over the past, like 20 to 30 years. You were talking about using magazines and things like that, and in the 90s, and the way that we use Facebook Live and, maybe even LinkedIn Live now. So what do you think is kind of one of the really big useful features that a university can push forward in that student journey now, and kind of how can they utilize that platform well as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen, especially right now, really these like live sessions, like Instagram Live, like Facebook Live. Those have been some really some fun new ways and some positive new ways to connect with students, we're really excited to be partnered with you guys. So I want to throw that in there as well. And I first came across Unibuddy a couple years ago at NASA. So, and I've always been excited about what you do, and definitely complements, our efforts as well. So, that's
Totally.
part of the journey too, like adding these type of new things like this partnership. And again, I think one of the things that I always emphasize with the schools I work with is there is no silver bullet. There is no one way. So
Yeah.
even though there could be something new that comes up today that we're working with, like Facebook Live and Instagram Live, like those things are going to change too. And we're going to need
Yeah.
to find other ways and always be adapting and always looking for new ways to meet students, where they're looking for information.
Isn't that old saying that like the only constant is change at the end of the day? That feels very
Yes,
true.
yes. I think that is definitely like if we learn anything from this time, I think that is a good lesson to take with us.
100%. Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And kind of in the vein of, universities, why do you think that peer-to-peer communication is a very important part of student journeys nowadays?
Yeah, well, so I would actually throw it back just as a question. It's like think
Yeah.
about ask yourself like when you meet someone, if meeting is done through a friend or they come with recommended highly by someone that you know, how much
Hmm.
more likely are you to take in whatever you hear from them in a positive light? So I
Absolutely.
think the same principles come into play when we look at peer to peer. I mean, you're talking about a student who's already at your school who is living kind of the dream that this other student who hasn't come to the US yet is aspiring to.
Right.
So it's like you are putting them in front of this potential student, in front of the best salesperson for your school, your existing students.
Yeah, absolutely. We always talk about that at Unibuddy as well, like how important this decision is at the end of the day, right? Like, do I want to go to
Yeah,
university? Where do I want to go? And you want to make sure that the space that you end up choosing is a space that resonates with you as a person, as a human being. That's the most important thing at the end of the day. And so I think I'm 100% with you. You go to your friends, you go to people who you trust and people who are like you. And when they are able to kind of give you that thumbs up, you're like, okay, cool. Well, if they feel comfortable there, I know that I can also potentially feel comfortable there as well. Um, I have kind of a
sure.
question for you, Simon, based on your own university search. If you could go back and kind of
Mm.
like do perfect one thing, or tell yourself a little nugget of advice that you wish you had known during your university search, what would it be and what would you tell young Simon about?
Yeah, yeah. If I could go back and talk to my 18-year-old self, that's always a fun one.
Right?
I it's like I went to UCLA, and ironically, I'm in San Diego right now, and I visited UCSD and kind of drove throughout California looking. So this is actually an
Did you stop
apropos
at my
question,
alma
given
mater?
where I'm
I
at.
have to ask. Did you stop at UC
When,
Davis? Because I went to UC Davis. We're UC
I
people
did
here.
not. I did
Oh, you
not.
missed the cows.
No, I know the agricultural UC school. So no, I did not get a chance to stop there. But I'm sure I've drinking milk recently from someone who you know learned
Went to
good
school there.
lessons at
Yeah,
UC
exactly.
Davis. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like looking back on my experiences, I think the biggest thing is just, and look, this is really hard to do at that age, but um, really like being honest with myself on
Mm,
how I learned best.
yeah.
So I look at my experience at UCLA. I was in really big classes. It's a big school. I got kind of like when I went there, they had just had, when I was visiting to see if I wanted to go there, they had just had like MTV Music Awards was hosted at Poly Pavilion on campus. And in my like 18-year-old mind, I'm like, this is the coolest
Like,
place ever. I gotta go here. But being really honest with myself, like I probably would have thrived from an academic standpoint at a smaller school,
yeah.
one that, I like to ask questions, I like to engage.
Hmm.
So I think it's important in any way someone can do that by just asking yourself, like, how do I learn best? What environments do I thrive in best?
Yeah.
And trying to separate kind of the excitement that comes with maybe, like seeing the MTV Music Awards that were just on campus, and being really honest with, look, putting all that other stuff aside, where am I going to thrive? me, Simon.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that I would probably have considered a smaller school
Yeah.
if I went back in time.
You know, I think that's like such fantastic advice for just anyone who may be watching this video in the future or listening in right now. At the end of the day, you do have to be really honest with yourself. And I think it calls back really nicely. It's almost like we planned this, but we didn't, to what we were just talking about, right? Like
Yeah.
making those genuine human connections with people at the institution that you're thinking about going to, and making sure that like those types of questions are answered for you before you do make that big decision at the end of the day. So I think
Yeah.
that's a fantastic piece of advice for anybody, let alone if you could go back to talk to Simon 18 years ago.
That's right. Well, and you bring up a great point in being able to get that type of information from a student ambassador, in the
Yeah,
peer-to-peer program, because, really like people that you connect with in those type of conversations, that tells you something. Like that's some information that you can really take and say,
absolutely.
okay, like I'm connecting with this person. They're at that school that I'm considering. Maybe that's a sign,
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
And I do
yeah.
think that that's a big part of the partnership that we have, to bring it back to kind of the main point of our LinkedIn Live today too, just really allowing, Unibuddy and Study in the USA to come together and make this higher education community as strong as humanly possible, and make those choices even easier for students to make at the end of the day. So we'll leave you with this quick comment. We are really excited for Simon to come back and hang out with us again at the conference on the 20th of October. And I think that is probably going to be us done. But Simon, thank you again so much for coming to hang out with us today. We really appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. My pleasure, Paige. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to hanging out again soon. All right.
Sounds great. All right.
Awesome. Bye.